Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk. I'm going to kind of do a lightning round with you here. Talk about some of the stuff that I've got in the stack, and we'll kind of let you help me decide where to focus on content today. So here are some of the stories that I have prepared for the program. I never get a chance to go through even a fraction of the stories that I have marked up and prepared and read for the program. So I'm always taking a stack of stuff back that I didn't get a chance to use. So I'll run through a bunch of stuff here, and then we'll let you decide what you want to react to, what you want to talk about. Number to call is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Interesting story here on Kermit Gosnell. He's demanding in his trial that the men in uniform refer to him as doctor, and they refuse. One of them said, you're just an inmate now, Kermit. On the adoption issue, we're going to play a soundbite from Paul Ryan. We're saying he's now in favor of gay adoption because he wants kids to have a home. Well, what he fails to apparently understand is that there are 36 couples who are waiting in line for every single baby that is adopted. 36 couples wait for every single baby who is adopted. You might have heard the news on the economic front today. Unemployment rate is down. I've got two pieces here, one by Tyler Durden on Zero Hedge, another by James Pethokoukis from the American Enterprise Institute. And what Tyler Durden points out is you can't look just at the quantity of jobs. You've got to look at the quality of jobs. And the point is, many of these jobs were part-time jobs. In fact, Durden calculates the increase in the number of jobs and then compares that to the total compensation that was paid out. And here's what he comes up with. The U.S. economy added 165,000 jobs, and yet businesses paid out $323.2 million less in total wage compensation. In other words, and this is clear from the study, and James Pethokoukis talks about this, that we are becoming a part-time nation. Remember, I told you when Obamacare came out, 30 is going to be the new 40. 30 is the new 40 because employers are going to try to keep their employees under 30 hours so they're not obligated to provide health insurance under Obamacare. 30 is now the new 40. I've been saying that from day one. And here's what Pethokoukis says. The American economy added 293,000 jobs last month, but the number of persons employed part-time for economic reasons, involuntary part-time workers, increased by almost as much, by 278,000. 7.9 million people now are working fewer hours than they want. They're stuck working part-time jobs, but they want to work full-time. So the bottom line is we have more part-time workers and fewer hours worked. The number of hours worked went down by almost 12 minutes per worker. So we can probe that a little bit further if you would like. But obviously the economic number's not as rosy. In fact, Pethokoukis says, look, if you had a broader measure of there's a U6 rate. This is a broader measure of joblessness. It includes discouraged workers and part-timers that want a full-time gig. That number actually went up from 13.8% to 13.9%. Got another article in the stack that says in reality, if you go back to the number of people that were in the workforce at our high water mark and have simply dropped out, they've given up, they're so discouraged they're not even looking, the actual or underemployment number in America is closer to 23%. So we got that in the economic world. Interesting story here where global warmists now are blaming Christians for stifling the kind of action that's needed to stem global warming because we believe in the return of Christ. So these environmentalists are out there saying, look, the whole problem, the reason we can't get anything done to curb catastrophic global warming is you got all these Christians out there that believe in the second coming of Christ. And they correlate a belief in the second coming of Christ to a reduced probability of strongly supporting government action on climate change, down by 12 to 20%. Now, my point is, I just think evangelicals are thinking for themselves, and they have not bought the swill that's being dished out with regard to environmentalism. And I'm going to come back at probably the top of the hour and talk a little bit more about what's going on in the Pentagon. Ken Kuklowski has a piece today, Family Research Council, talking about the fact that if you parse carefully the statement that the Pentagon issued yesterday, we had Fred Jackson on here to talk about that. It appeared that they were backtracking, that they were redacting their earlier statement, retracting. Ken Kuklowski says, no, they're not. You look at the words that they're using and what these words mean in the definition, there is really no retreat whatsoever. So we will talk about that a little bit. Now, on the immigration bill, this is an interesting thing to me because we've talked about this immigration bill. We got some sound bites that we are going to play. And striking thing here, this is 867 pages now. It was 844 to start with, so they've added 23 pages. Marco Rubio's out there saying, look, this thing cannot pass the House, and he doesn't even think it's going to pass the Senate. He's now out there saying, look, I don't think this thing can get through the Senate even. So this thing is just, the wheels are coming completely off the wagon. Rubio's getting desperate. He's out there begging people, send us ideas. Well, the whole point of this thing is we don't want your ideas. We're going to put this thing together in private. It's going to be comprehensive. This is going to be a kill shot. This thing is so comprehensive, so complete. We've covered all the bases. We don't even need to have hearings on this thing because this is the bomb. This is the deal. This is going to get it done. No point in having hearings. We've got it all dialed. In fact, this thing is so perfect, it said, we're not even going to allow amendments. Now Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio was a part of that whole deal. Now he's out there saying, we're begging you for ideas. Help us figure out how we can improve this. Now, here's if you didn't know anything else about the immigration bill, there's two main things you need to know about the immigration bill. Number one, it's legalization first and border security never. That's really the only thing you need to know about it. There is no border security in this bill. They're going to legalize 12 million people. And by the way, what that means, because of the chain migration provisions for spouses and children and parents, it's going to pull 33 million more immigrants into the United States than otherwise would come in over the next decade. So you're looking at the total 11 to 12 million they legalize right now, 30 million they're going to pull in over the next decade. You're looking at 45 million immigrants. And so that's the other thing you need to know. We're just going to be awash in immigrants, many of whom have no interest in assimilating to American culture. They're just here for the work and for the goodies. Now, so those are the two main things. There's no border enforcement in the deal. Instant legalization. All Janet Napolitano has to do is come up with a strategy. That's the word, strategy, to close the border. She's got 5 years to do it. If she doesn't do it, that's okay. We'll just create a commission. After 5 years of complete, absolute failure to secure the border, we will create a border commission, and then they will go away and they will come back with recommendations. That border commission's got no authority whatsoever. All they do is recommend to the United States government, the Department of Homeland Security, what we ought to do with border security. And then if that doesn't work at the 10-year mark, then they claim they're going to have a timeout on all this citizenship business. But here's the other thing. So, I mean, this thing is a disaster. It's a loser. It's worse than 2007. In 2007, the 2007 bill, you had to have proven border security in place and operational and working before they legalized anybody. In the 2013 Rubio amnesty bill, they legalized right now, right out of the chute. Now, in 2007, you also had to leave the country. If you wanted to become a citizen, you had to go home and apply from your home country. Under the Rubio amnesty bill, you can stay right here. We're going to put you to the front of the line. We're going to legalize you, and you get to go to the head of the queue. And those 4 million people that are patiently waiting overseas, they're just chumps. They're just saps for thinking that the way to play this thing is to play by the rules. But here's the deal. This new immigration bill, here's our Fisher factoid for today. You remember we talked about the Obamacare and how many waivers and exemptions and how many times the secretary shall, this inordinate power given to the Secretary of Homeland Security, all the waivers, all the exemptions, all the exceptions. And that was a problem for us. Now, listen to this. The Rubio amnesty bill, if you can believe it, has more waivers and more exceptions per page than Obamacare. More exceptions, more waivers, more exemptions, more political discretion than Obamacare. So it's an 867-page bill that has 1.14 waivers or exemptions per page. Obamacare, 2,409 pages, had 0.78 waivers and exemptions per page. This thing is just an absolute, total, utter catastrophe. And then on the Islamic front, the number of names on the U.S. counterterrorism database is now up to 875,000. And that is up from 540,000 just 5 years ago. What happened 5 years ago? Oh, yeah, that's when Barack Obama became the president of the United States. Since then, the number of people on our terrorism database has gone up by, what is that, 435,000. It's almost doubled in 5 years. Now, these people that are on this database, this is their definition. They have to be known, suspected, or potential terrorists in order to get on this list. And these are people, ladies and gentlemen, in the United States, or people who want to come to the United States. 875,000, and the vast majority of these are Muslims, probably 90% plus are Muslims. And there's 875,000 of them. I have no idea how many of them are actually in the country, how many want to come in. But these are people that have an interest in either living here or migrating here. And every one of them is a known, suspected, or potential terrorist. 875,000. And this list is basically useless because the underwear bomber, Christmas Day, whatever, 2011, he was on this list. Didn't stop him from coming into the country. And Tamerlan Tsarnaev, the mastermind behind the Boston Muslim massacre bombing, he was on this list. Didn't stop him. So, I mean, the point is the problem is just getting worse. It's not getting better. It's just getting worse. And here's the other thing. The number to call, 888-589-8840. Can you believe this? 888-589-8840. Let you chew on this for a couple of minutes. The Libyan militia group that the State Department hired to defend our diplomatic compound in Benghazi was tied to Al-Qaida. And we knew it. They prominently displayed the Al-Qaida flag on their Facebook page. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.